that one feels like maybe a step too far, so don't anticipate that being the play here from NoRunes. But we swing things back over to Ravens. Final pick of this second phase in ET. I was talking about the Faceless Void for the NoRunes side with the combo that they have. Ravens still need their carry, so they could potentially steal it out here. You have that Lina to sort of act as your backup damage dealer so that the Faceless Void's slower buildup is not quite as actually, harmful to the team. But, well, the counter to that is, do you want to take Dodd's hero that early because NoRunes may not have taken their own carry yet?
Yeah, and you do have last pick, so if they do just pick their carry here, then they do kind of give it up. So yeah, it will just be the 4 position instead. And we'll see, because there is also flexibility. We haven't seen it a lot, but Lena could still be a support. I think the hero feels kind of bad as a support, but Nengo Flow Tusk is something that he has done in the tournament so far. And of course, versus Kunkka, that's another lane that you can actually be just okay with trading farm and then playing for a lot of those plays going on with the runes. But that's also where Tusk Beastmaster, it's a pretty killer lane. You're playing versus a melee hero as well. The shards are really great versus Tree and Protector. You just kind of trap them up and then you're not really going anywhere. So I
Mm-hmm.
could see this just being Dismar's hero. Dismar as well, we've talked about it before, but he just likes to play the melee for a lot more. It's why his Tiny and his Doom has been getting so many respect bans, even though they decide not to go for it this game. I think large in part because there is the Beastmaster already picked up for Benjaz, so they keep that balance that we always bring up is very important. But for Dad's hero, they do ban out the Dawnbreaker, which is funny because he is the only one that I think you would ban the Dawnbreaker out against. But a part of me also looks and sees that Loon is still in the pool, Drow is still in the pool. There are still quite a few options for them to go for. Those are probably the two big ones to highlight, though.
Big damage dealers. Okay. They remove the Bloodseeker instead. That's still not a bad ban, just maybe not one of the ones that was immediately coming to mind. Meanwhile, for Ravens, what else are they looking for here? They took away the Troll first. Oh no, if they're looking for bans on some of those durable heroes, they could always just be safe and ban out something like a Jug in this instance, ET, but do you think they look for something with more damage potential than that, or are they focused on removing somebody with that sort of magic immunity or ability?
Yeah, and of course, the troll ban is just to protect the Beastmaster Tusk lane, because of course, blinding axes versus 2 melee heroes is not a kill. It's just where he gets to walk away. But I do feel like right now, you kind of want somebody a little bit durable. And of course, when you ban out troll, you think of a weaker carry. You think of somebody who is going to get run down by your Battle Trance Troll Warlord with a Battle Fury. And again,
Hmm.
not really hinting at what Dodd is going to want in the core matchup, but instead still covering the Beastmaster. So I am sitting over here kind of scratching my head because I don't know. It feels like right now, if you want to, NoRunes just get ahead of you. Unfortunately, NoRunes cannot pick Luna. If they pick Luna, Ravens pick Drow, done. You win the matchup. And so they
Oh,
pick Medusa instead. And now do Ravens just go for Drow? I mean, I feel like that's going to be the move here for them, but I mean, we'll have to see. That's the most Dodd hero I can expect, at least coming out from him, at least with the way they've drafted so far. If they don't go for that, well, I mean, it does feel like they need maybe another frontliner, but versus Medusa, you could just call their bluff here.
don't have a lot of time to think about this though. 6 seconds, so. Well, Ravens, what's it gonna be? Down the clock, and they take the Tiny, so. What are we gonna see here? Lena 1? No. Genko Flow did take the Lena, so they're gonna try position 1 Tiny. That's risky, let's say, ET.
I mean, risky, but also just is it bad is the real question. Because, of course, I mean, it killed the hero. You had an increase in bonus damage, you were able to maybe still work as a mid laner, even though you're not able to go for the carry build nearly as nicely. Even the Echo Saber just doesn't feel that good. And it all comes down to your attack speed is cut by 30% with every grow. So, I mean, Dodd's got a hell of a game in front of him, and I'm looking at the rest of the lanes, and yeah, Heiko just takes up the Snapfire, Hana ends up on that Clockwork, that lane makes sense. Is this Tiny really going to work out? Does Dodd know something that we don't know? And of course, he doesn't need to be the carry in this game. There is still an Nengo Flow Lina. You still itemize for right click, and maybe that's where they just decide to put Dad on a hero that's just going to simply go in as opposed to being your win condition. But even as not your win condition, I don't know. We'll have to see because, yeah, this Tiny has a lot to live up to. And I feel like, really, you might just want to play him as mid Tiny. Just go for Treads, go for Blink Dagger. And then I don't know what you look for after that. Probably just Echo Saber, BKB. Try to play that style, even though it's nerfed. I feel like that's the only avenue to go for on that hero.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like there's an alternative build now that makes position 1 Tiny what it used to be, so it's kind of have to play it the same way you would mid and hope for the best, which against a Medusa, I don't think any team wants to be in a position where they're just hoping for the best, but Ravens, they had last pick, they put themselves in this situation, so as you said, ET, maybe Dodd knows something we don't. Maybe there's some tech that they've been working on, some just sort of master plan that they've had hidden away through the whole group stage because they simply haven't needed it to this point, and we'll all be blown away, or it could be, you know, a textbook example of why position 1 Tiny doesn't work anymore. We'll have to see.
Yeah, well, because he certainly doesn't win the man fight versus Medusa anymore. Maybe he did, back when all of his talents were also just buffed for that specific build. But, this Tiny has a lot to live up to. And again, he doesn't have to be the carry, which is the thing that might make this work for Ravens. Nengo Flow can be your DPSer. And of course, you outrange the Medusa. So Nengo Flow has to be your DPSer. It's just where I do worry about heroes like the Clockwork that NoRunes picked up to try and counter her specifically, where are you trying to make something work when you've already got too many pieces working against you? We'll have to see, because again, Ravens are the frontrunner coming into this match in the first place, so you gotta give them just maybe a little bit more respect, but this is a gamble.
It is worth noting at this point now what's sort of on the line here. Ravens looking to reclaim the #1 seed for the playoffs. They only need one win out of these two games to potentially, not potentially, to get that back because they own the tiebreaker with SG Esports. So one win for them gets them first place. Meanwhile, if NoRunes pull off a 2-0, then I believe they can move up one spot from like 8 to 7 or something along those lines. So, you know, they can't exactly leapfrog anybody too significantly, but still would put them in a nicer position. So, to see how this plays out, 3 of the 4 bounty runes do go the way of NoRunes there at the start, so they've got a little bit of an economic advantage. And Surem and Kara, they're doing a little dance here. Game of chicken. I think both of them maybe believed somebody might have warded here too, because Kara is holding on to a sentry, but there's no wards. They're just trading a little bit of damage, but while that goes down, the cores just go to lane and, well, in Dodd's case, he's trying to farm. Heiko is getting a little bit aggressive onto his opponent early, and Tiny's not going to have a whole lot of fun here. If he tries to come out for those last hits, Surem is going to have the potential to punish him, and, well, once Heiko hits level 2 and has that cookie, they could catch him out in the trap.
Gotta be very careful. This is also, however, where it's only Kara that I think really needs to be careful here. Dodd is going to be under a little bit more pressure, but of course, the one nice thing about Tiny is as soon as you hit level 6, you just don't have enough damage to kill him with right clicks. He gets his 10 armor for free, and then suddenly he's an entirely new beast. But yeah, that's where this lane is going to be pretty slow, and Kara's just going to have to avoid the tombstone, because you can only imagine Heiko's either going to save a point or get a point next here in the Little Shredder.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate that you just have to entirely avoid, you know, one of your best skills, but that's the nature of the lane. The snap's just going to do bad things to that tombstone if you try to throw it out there, so gotta play without it. In the meantime, over on the other side, bit of a creep pull coming through here, so Benjaz trying to grab some extra experience behind his tower. Hane just hoping to do what he can to maybe take a little bit of that away, as down in the bottom lane, they actually don't avoid the tombstone. They throw it down. They just take the fight so far away from the lane that Heiko can't get over there.
No, it's really smart. They saw exactly which 2 skills Heiko had because they were trying to make a turn play onto the Undying, but then, as every Undying has in this tournament, you pop a mango, you get a two-man decay, and then suddenly, well, the fight turns in your favor, and, well, here we go again. Decay already used, but spell's already used, and oh, what an avalanche. That's gonna let Kara walk out. Now, does Kara want to be alive anymore, is the real question.
Yeah, that's... He's got a couple of mangoes, so I guess he could just try and play the decay game, but it would be nicer to just, you know, maybe die and come back at full, but the tangos are brought out to him, so it looks like he's just going to try and stick this out. Dot. Getting the double slow play out from Surem, but... This is the problem. You need the 2 slows, you need the Scatter Blast and the Cookie, and even then you're looking at a maybe in terms of that kill onto the Tiny, so... It's not always going to be worth the mana cost to even try it, you know?
No, it definitely isn't. It's where, as we talk about sometimes, and the reason why Undying is such a beast in the lane, your level 1 skills just aren't level 1 decay, so it ends up being just not worth it, as Kara is just looking for Surem, and with the avalanche from Dodd, perfectly played. But yeah, level 1 decay is just a beast of its own. It's where no matter what you do, you have to wait for your levels, and Undying simply doesn't. And now, Kara decides that it's his time.
He is going to go off into the great beyond and deny himself. Meanwhile, up top, a Shards play onto Hane here. They're going to hit him up with a tag team as well. That's not exactly what she wanted with those cogs, as he does end up getting himself killed. Dismar, though, could go down in exchange, as Mini got a very nice Mystic Snake in there, bouncing around for some extra damage, and, well, you have to sacrifice your support, but it gets a kill into the hands of your Dusa.
No, you're very happy with that, but Benjaz is starting to ramp a little bit, and it's funny because Benjaz actually decided not to greed out for the Helm of Ironwell, but with how successful he has been already, and, you know, level 30 Beastmaster, I mean, the band's an expert at this point, as Hana's, whoa.
Okay. Just straight up runs
tower
in.
shots. He's dead, but yeah, the trade works. Of course, now you do just get to buy your Helm of Ironwell anyway, but okay, more XP for Mini, and Dismar cannot close the gap.
And no point in the snowballs, he's only level 2, so... Well, if you're the Clockwork, you are spending a lot of time dead in the first couple of minutes here, but it's for the Medusa's benefit, it's all going to work out. It's down in the bottom lane, Kara. They're trying to hit up on him, and look at Kara. He's actually gotten a second point into the Tombstone, so... Well, that's heavily leaning into this, and if Heiko only has 1 point up in the Shredder, then... I guess if he puts all the shots on the Tombstone, he still takes it down, but that is an interesting choice on the skill belt as Mini gets run down in the top lane. Dismar did hit level... Oh, no, he hits level 3 afterwards, so he actually still didn't have the snowball. They just ran that in.
Yeah, no, they just walked him up. The wave was so far forward that, yeah, there's just not enough time to actually get the reset. And you also just didn't have any mana for snakes. You were just very low from the prior engagements and didn't get any mangoes from your support because Hanes was on the move. He was on the run. He was already moving across the map. So, a little bit of a punish, but also back bottom. Tomb does die. There's your little Shredder. No Tombstone. Sad to be Kara, but you're still just farming up on the Tiny. I mean, not really under too much pressure here.
Just keeps on building himself up. 34 and 5 in terms of the last hit and deny count. In the meantime, Dismar just trying to get away from Hane, and he does manage to avoid the cog trap, so he's going to be okay, but he does have to take the illusion rune. He was trying to hold off, but Hane was coming back around, so there's the rune taken. Kara, meanwhile, is trying to run away from Guts, but those mud golems aren't exactly known for their physical damage. He tried to get the deny, but instead, you hand a kill over to the Kunkka, who is level 6. He's got Ghost Ship. He just doesn't have the X now. He tried to use it on the Undying, so if he had the X, I think they could have set up here. Treant was along for the ride, and Yengo Flow could have been taken down, but instead, Selena is going to fall back to the base.
Yeah, the walkaway happens. They aren't able to really make anything of it, so instead, just a little bit of a reset. We do want to see more from Guts, though. He's had a very, very quiet lane. It's just been farm for farm against the Lina. Of course, you are at the point now on Kunkka where Lina has to spend her mana to actually push the wave in, where you just have to hit the creeps with your right clicks, but that's where there is also a little bit of setup here on Surem. They saw him walk in, not as sneaky, but big stick. Nobody really saw that coming, but with the Tombstone, absolutely no way he walks away, right? Now, one more decay. Not even. Slave got him.
Dragon Slave gets the kill. Meanwhile, this is a TP up top from Guts, so he is trying to get active now. I don't think Dismar gets out of this. That snowball buys a little bit of time, but he is still getting run down, and Guts will find the kill, so... Okay. Kunkka's able to make a little bit of a rotation. First into the south side jungle for 1 kill, then he TP's top for another. And he didn't have to use anything in there either. It was just one Tidebringer that got him that kill, so... Could return mid or stay top for a kill with his full combo available to him.
He definitely could, and well, let's see it. Is there going to be a rotation here? They're kind of trailing through the jungle right now, making sure that there are no stacks up, but 8-minute rune. Dismar is going to kill the arcane and then use away like a bandit. And if he gets to a creep, there's actually nothing in the wave, so does get pulled back, but Snowball.
Snowball's onto Sarem. I don't think that's going to get him out, though. Yengo Flow can try with the LSA, but by the time it connects, it's already too late, so... Dismar goes down. Yengo Flow has to back off of his own tower, and there's 4 heroes mid for NoRunes. They're going to deploy the kisses. I think he was just assuming that Free Fire Torrent was going to connect, and when it doesn't, it's a little bit of an overcommitment. But hey, 4 heroes mid, creep wave up. They're going to get some hits on this tower. Aiko could pop the what is this TP? Dodd. Old TP right in the middle of multiple heroes. He's got Kara to help him out, though. They're going to try and make something happen, but other than this kill onto Hane, I don't think they're going to find much more. But they do get the clockwork. At least they've got that. Yengo Flow, though, trying to get onto Heiko, but that's twice now. His Laguna hasn't been able to sort of finish off that kill quickly, and unlike last time ET, he can't just keep chasing through the river to finish this one off.
Yeah, just kind of a swing and a miss, but at least you get a kill onto the clockwork. But with so much aggression and attention spent in that bottom lane, look up at the Medusa, and Mini's level 8. If he needs to jungle, he can. He's got max split shot. He's ready to farm, and he doesn't have the most stacks, you know, awaiting him. It's not like there's been all too much time, and with double melee supports, it's a little bit more difficult, but I feel like he's happy. Guts, though, is not happy, and he might go down, but what a torrent!
Okay. There's the X, there's the Ghost Ship. They're going to try and turn on Yengo Flow. Hane's coming in, looking for the battery assault and the cog trap, and, well, now they need someone to do a damage, because Guts kind of backed off, so... Yeah, that play's going to break up. But hey, Kunkka's safe. He gets away. Could just wait a few moments, then maybe go for the X play onto himself to try and heal up, but he's actually kind of still fishing for a kill. Dismar's a little bit low, but the 2 supports really don't have the means to close that gap.
No, and then with a bit of a reset, Nengofo is able to bottle up the haste rune, so he is fine. What a voice line.
I love it. Just great. But well, now we'll see what comes of this haste rune, right? And Yengo Flow could pop it, go for a couple bottle charges to get some mana up, and maybe look to make a play. But as of right now, he's not really budging from this middle lane. Still getting enough mana, or not mana, excuse me, enough farm where he doesn't really want to bail out, so will remain for the time being. But while that happens, well, kind of surprised Benjaz hasn't been able to put more pressure on this tower as Kara does get picked off alone down in that bottom lane. The Tiny was a little bit too far back to help, but maybe now we see Benjaz do a little bit more. He's got the Dom Helm. He's frankly had it for a little while, but this tower, the longer it lasts, the safer the Medusa's going to be.
Yep, and it should go down right now. Don't think there's really a shot for them to defend it. But with that being said, now it's never about the first tier 1. It's always about the collapse onto mid. And speaking of collapses, Guts is coming in towards bottom. Without the kisses, though, I really doubt they can make a play onto Dodd. I don't think the Tiny is going to go down here, but they might go for it anyway. And well, there's the X, but this is a real big reach for me. I think they're just going to walk away after this one.
Yep. They are backing out. Kara dropped a tombstone down, but it's pretty far back there, so... yeah. Dismar can't connect with the snowball, and everybody just walks away, so... you use Ghost Ship on one side, you commit Tombstone on the other. Soremdo just got caught by the shards, and... man, he is getting these wand charges up pretty damn high, but he is still going to go down. Dismar will punch him to death, and they still find the pickoff. But over in the middle lane, Yengo Flow teaming up here with the Beastmaster, looking to get some damage onto the tower, but they realize with Guts and Hane here, our creep wave is going to die pretty damn fast, so they back it off, and It's a bit of a missed opportunity for them, but with the Beastmaster free to roam after taking the tier 1 top, he can really be wherever he wants to be.
Yeah, and after all of that, you do just get to kind of walk away, get to realize where you actually stand in this game. But we'll have to see now, because really the only reason Benjaz gives up on pushing mid any harder is because there's all this free farm top. But bottom lane, Aiko, that's your offlaner. He needs to run, and Hannes is here. Great hook shot,
Oh,
3-man cog, but
into the
he's got
cookie
more and more
push.
kisses.
Here comes Guts and Sarem as well. This is a massive trap, and they're just going to clean it up. You know, for a second, I thought Hane might have been sort of getting his teammate killed there, but Aiko knew how to get himself out. They knew they had the reinforcements coming, and they turn a huge engagement. They get those 3 kills, and I don't know if Heiko and Sarem can take this tower immediately, but they're going to at least get some solid damage onto it. I don't know if he wants to really go for the Shredder play here, but Ravens really just get kind of caught out being a little bit too greedy.
You know, it's a massive play. It's a big turnaround, and, well, we'll have to see how they try to reestablish themselves onto the map. I hear another X in a boat, and it looks like, yeah, we'll just be plainly dodged out by that Tusk, but the objective hasn't changed for Ravens. Ravens still want to get onto this mid tower. They want to actually get this game opened a little bit while that Medusa still doesn't have Stone Gaze, but that's where Mini will become the new defender of the tower, with Guts maybe a little bit weaker, not having the boat. Mini does need to tread lightly. There's still Lena who will beat into him, but that's also where they see Dismar, the smoke breaks, it's daytime, they see everything, and without creeps pushed up onto the tower, the Lena just can't walk up and hit it. That's just a one-way trip with a clockwork on the enemy team.
Yeah. Not really looking to throw his life away, in this instance at least. So, they back it off. In the meantime, though, checking back in on the Tiny Dot. Did go for the Echo Saber first, looking for a bit of a build-up towards the Silver Edge. So really, ET, this does look quite a bit like the mid-tiny variant, which is what we kind of predicted, but I don't know. Part of me was hoping Dot had, you know, something fancy, some sort of secret build up his sleeve, but doesn't appear to be the case for the time being.
Yeah, and I don't know. We'll have to see, I think, a little bit more from him, and huge TPs. NoRunes just used 4 TPs to get to that top lane and then just airballed. They just weren't able to connect on anyone, and especially the Clockwork just not finding the opening to start the fight. I think that was just them maybe trying to punish Benjaz, but didn't come to fruition, and that was really awkward, because then they just all run back mid.
Yeah, it's not the most efficient of plays there, but hey. If they want, do they have a smoke? They do have one up on Sarem, so maybe they could try to get aggressive there and get Hane in there with a hook shot, but we're not seeing them make that play just yet. And honestly, unless it's a guaranteed kill, I don't think you want to get Guts involved here, because he's starting to close in on that BKB, an all-important BKB for him as well. Just really gives him free reign to initiate wherever he wants, but they are going to go for the smoke play, so we will try this anyway. And honestly, if Guts finds a kill, then that's going to help pay for the rest of that BKB anyway. As they do make their move, there's going to be the hook shot in. Defensive Snowball, though, is going to dodge a lot of this damage from the kisses. The boat hits onto nothing, and now they need to run. But Dodd is in there with the avalanche. Can he toss a teammate? Can he do something here? Well, okay. His teammate does it for him. Dismar's going to get the shard trap. They caught Heiko out, and this is the problem if you're Heiko. He used his cookie to get Guts onto the high ground, which is very important. But Heiko, you're a core too, so you going down and sacrificing for your teammate is not as beneficial as it would be if you were just the position for support.
Yeah, and now you just push in. You're going to turn for Roche now immediately, because this is just what Ravens do, and it's a little bit of an advantage that they're able to gain up here, but with this timing, they do just get this for free. You've got Clockwork, who does have a flare-up in 5 seconds, and if you're NoRunes, you do know about this, but do they even kill it before the... Nah, there should be no time, but here you go. You got to go right now if you want this steal, but there's the Hawk, Benjaz.
Oh,
what a sick gamer.
That is so unfortunate from Hane, because honestly, if the Hawk's not in the way, I think he might have had the timing up right to actually steal that. Instead, he can't make it happen. Clockwork ends up going down, and now you have an Aegis in the Lena's hands. So, Yengo is going to be feeling pretty confident here. His BKB's finished. They spotted Guts in the middle lane. They're going to get the snowball onto him. There's the LSA, holding off on the Walrus Punch until the last possible second. But Guts may still get away, because the Ghost Ship actually did stun the Lina. Yengo didn't quite know its location until it was too late, so that brief stun does allow the Kunkka to fall back.
Yep, and he's still looking for his BKB. He's maybe 100 gold out from it, but as soon as we have that BKB, kind of need to look for a team fight. And this is also where the Medusa has not decided to finish up the entire Manta style, so she's not been able to push out nearly as many waves, really just for this power spike of the Scotty a little bit sooner. And of course, Scotty versus both Lina and Tiny, a very valuable item, but that's where you need to win the fight as soon as you get these items. And it is a very strong power spike, but that's just where you hope that you're not going to miss here if you're a NoRunes fan, because if you do, well, then it's a slippery slope, and if Ravens are even able to turn the tables on you and win a team fight, we already know how fast they take these buildings.
He's just gonna keep on farming, working his way towards it. In the meantime, Dodd and Kara hanging out down in the bottom lane, starting to get pretty close to some enemy heroes here. Do they spot him out? They do now. They'll see Hane, they'll hit him up with the Avalanche, but that's all that they'll do. Once he sees, I think, that the Snapfire was there as well, Dodd just kind of back it off a bit, so he's not going to go rushing in too heavily, and it's a bit of an interesting switch up here from Dodd. He did get the Shadow Blade finished off, but rather than go straight into the sort of full Silver Edge, I think now he's sort of veering off to get his BKB first, so to be honest, that might actually work out for the best for him in terms of just having that magic immunity to actually take these fights. As Dismar tried to start something there, but the shards are kind of off the mark.
No, and now, okay, scan comes through, 50 gold away from the Scotty, and then NoRunes hit their timing, and then they smoke up, and then they probably look for an engagement here, but right now, they are just blind in the dark. Oh, and now they want that jump even more. The Tiny is gone, he's showing top, but they're all underneath a ward in the lane. Raven's vision just scouts out everything, so even if they wanted to make a play, they are just going to walk away as well. And they are walking into high ground vision here, so maybe Hannes settles for a Tusk. And he will get him, but does he get the snowball? Oh, it's so good.
Saram. Oh, God. Okay, Saram. That only roots up one, really. So, this is not good. There's going to be the roar. They've got the Kunkka out. He is entirely isolated. BKB finally activated, but he loses so much of his HP that he's still going to go down. Oh, boy. That is not the way you wanted that fight to go. The Scotty, I think, was revealed here as well, though that's not too much of a gotcha. Ravens still have to deal with the Scotty, so knowing about it doesn't really help, but I just feel like that was a little bit too much. Sarem tries to force the issue, and it really just doesn't pay off.
No, it just ends up being a play that they feel like they have to make because the pressure is mounting at this point, and you're not really building up items that quickly because, again, you've tried to get yourself battle ready just a little bit too soon, and now, well, you're in this awkward stage where your only initiator is still this clockwork. You have to hit with Hanes. If you're unable to, the team fight just doesn't start. And now, Ravens, who have gone for the slower build-up for bigger early items, have BKBs. They have a DD rune on Lina. They've got a minute left on this Aegis, and they're coming for you. Even a Blink Dagger on the Beastmaster. So if Benja sees anything, and again, you die on your side of the map, well, your buildings are toast. And right now, they are scrambling back up to this tier 3. They did not see this push coming.
By the time anyone's in position, the tier 3 tower's already lost half its health, and there's the jump in. They've spotted the Medusa. Can they kill her off? Snowball gonna be there, but the Force Staff does get him a little bit further away. Meanwhile, Hane did have to hook in, so that hook initiation is now gone, but it did create a little bit of extra separation, and they'll reset the fight with Dismar dead. So, no Tusk for 30. Tier 3 tower still standing, although it took a hell of a beating, ET, but NoRunes do hold the high ground. And the Aegis, yeah, it's 5 seconds away from timing out, so it was a little bit chaotic. They had to kind of scramble for it, but they do hold the line.
No, it's very important that they do, because without that, then that could have just been the beginning of that stellar snowball. But now it's wait time, and wait time that we haven't seen in a good few days here, but Ravens love this. They love stalling out the map. They love farming. They like going towards that 35-minute mark, playing around the second and third Roshan. as opposed to just throwing their game away. But you're also versus a Medusa. So it's time to go. And they're going to look for her in the jungle. If they've got that insane lane ward bottom yet again here. And they did see one hero walk up to that ramp. So they know that somebody is bouncing around in that triangle. But how do they break? Right now, Surem, he's got the Ag Shard. So he's trying to be annoying. He's Invis right now. Trying to cause problems here. And smoke will pop on the Lina. So with that, maybe they miss, but no, they see her on the low ground. Oh no.
Aurora's going to come in. Medusa in trouble. Can they actually focus? Surem comes in. Manages to hit the overgrowth on a multiple. That buys time for the Stone Gaze. Now the Ghost Ship coming in as well. They don't have the damage. Mini is holding the line. Dodd is the only one still on this front line, and now he's going to start getting a little bit of trouble here, but he does still have the Avalanche coming in. Can they get Mini away? The Force Staff creates the separation, but the tossback is going to be there. But they need to be able to focus him down. Yengo Flow getting on target, but the Cookie is going to push Mini away. He's turning. He's doing the damage. And Ravens, I don't know if they can do this anymore. Even if they kill Mini, they've just taken too many casualties. It's a full 5-man wipe. Guts walks away with a triple kill. Mini does die, but ET, he dies at the absolute last second in that fight.
Yeah, I think he had maybe 3 or 4 stacks of wild axes on him at that point, but it just takes way too long, and the Tiny ends up being the vanguard for you. And honestly, without a haste root, that looks so much worse for Nengo Flow. With that, he's actually able to reset himself slightly after the hook shot, but Surem's the one that blows it all wide open. He forces every BKB early because of the 5-man overgrowth that he's just able to get without a blink dagger, just because they walk into him, and then everything just goes NoRunes' favor. And sure, yeah, you lost the Dusa, but the one who really won that team fight was Guts. He got everything. Now he's got a Hyperstone. He's looking towards an AC. I've never seen a Kunkka happier in my life.
I do want to ask one thing, though, because I did just spot this item choice from Surem, right? We mentioned he got that overgrowth without his Blink Dagger. He doesn't opt to get one after that fight. Instead, he finishes the Veil of Discord. So, I don't know. What do you think? Is he going to be able to get into position for the overgrowth often enough where the Veil over a Blink is the right call here?
It's tough to say, right? Because it will increase the magic damage coming out from your lineup just a little bit more, but it's where you're not really even doing that much magic damage aside from the Snapfire. So, I'm not going to think about it. I think he just had components from the lane and just wanted to buy an item, which is nice. Also, with the Veil of Discord actually on this hero, you can actually push out and kill creep waves with Nature's Grasp, which is probably the reason why he goes for it. So that way he can actually threaten the lanes a little bit. But aside from that, also, what happened top? BKB? Yeah. Lina popped BKB and walked away from 2 ultimates, which, of course, means that there are no ultis now on NoRunes, but no BKB on Nengo Flow. So still has to be careful. But Guts is walking in. Gotta be a little cautious here. He's underneath vision, but without the Beastmaster, who's playing bottom, they are actually pretty safe.
They don't have the means to pierce that BKB if he does pop it, so yeah. Gonna be just fine here in this situation. I guess we'll just go back to farming, and all's well that ends well, I suppose, right? Not too much loss there. The ults that they used are on relatively... Well, the Ghost Ship's on a relatively short cooldown. The Kisses maybe not so much, but doesn't really seem like NoRunes are in a position right now where they're raring to go for another team fight. They want to just keep on waiting. Mini is starting to build his way towards a butterfly, so if things slow down and start to revolve around the next Roche, that's just fine by them.
Nope, it definitely is, which we'll have to see, because this Medusa is starting to get scary. As Roar, yeah. And, well, that's your Surem dead, but a Surem dead that will come up before the next Roche respawns, so ends up not being nearly as backbreaking. But Mini just finished up a Sanjinyasha, is looking towards a Swift Blink, bought the Eagle Song first. Very scary. And as soon as you do have that Swift Blink, the way that you can just reposition yourself to immediately chase down that Lina is where Nengo Flow, who doesn't have a Hurricane Pike, could 100% get caught and then just right-click to death. You cannot be the aggressor there, where a Medusa just has Stone Gaze right on top of you.
See now, the reasoning for that, he switched up. Initially, he had the Butterfly in his quick buy. He changed it to the Swift Blink, I think because they got eyes on Yengo Flow, building his way towards what's going to be an MKB. So he did just finish it off. It's coming out to him, so he's got that no matter what. It's just there is no direct evasion for it to be countering. Still damage and attack speed, you know? You're never going to go too wrong with that, but Not quite the counterplay that he was originally anticipating. As speaking of counterplays, both sides know now Roche is up. So who is going to be able to control the pit here? NoRunes. Well, first things first, yeah, they got to clear out these Beastmaster creeps, as they do manage to get most of them. They'll take the Hawk out here too. Does that actually help them get into the pit at this point? Although, I'm not talking about getting into the pit, but Dodd is currently on the other side of the map, just trying to push out some creep waves perhaps, but he doesn't really have Boots of Travel or anything of that nature. He does, however, have a tier 1 tower still standing in the top lane, so if he really does need to, he could just TP there, but his teammates are actually coming to him. Or no, they're not. Dodd is just pushing the tower. He actually TP'd mid there on the Lina. My mistake. They take the fight. They catch out Guts. Hookshot from Hane, though, does get them onto Benjaz, so maybe a return kill, but Mini's not getting this kill as fast as he thought he would. He will still get it with the help of Heiko, but now they have to fall back because they've lost the numbers advantage.
Oh, and this would be so sick if they get Stone Gaze, then they just immediately turn to the pit, and Sarem, well, he's gonna die. Dismar's just found everything with his Blink Dagger. He's the one that led into that roar in the mid lane as well. And now, somehow, despite this game teetering back and forth, it's gonna come out with Ravens just walking to the pit with a 2-man advantage. They get all the D wards as well. And sure, they don't have their Vlad, so this might be a slightly slower Roche, but I don't know if you're going to want to force your Clockwork to TP into the outpost, send the flare, just rush for another steal, because you don't have the Swift Blink. It's not like Mini can really get in there. He's going to have to walk, and it's just going to be a hair behind the Roche dying.
Age is taken. Let's see. I believe Dodd, yeah, Dodd's going to get himself the shard here, so he does have that tree grab basically all the time. Just holds on to it until he decides to throw it. Not a bad pickup here for, the carry Tiny. What is he looking for next here? He got the Silver Edge, he's got the BKB. He is going to grab himself an AC here, and once he has the AC, I mean, a lot of the problems losing the attack speed from Grow will get kind of taken away. Counteracted, I guess.
Yeah, but, it's still not fun. it's still not the greatest. It's where every Tiny, as soon as you're forced to sell your Echo Saber, you're pretty sad. And of course, 30% is 30%. But that's where Nengo Flow, does the DPS, does the damage, gets the kill. Feels pretty nice for him because he is now huge. He is enormous. He has another Aegis to play with. Of course, finished up that MKB, but then immediately turns this into a Daedalus. And that's always the question you ask yourself, is whether or not you want to get the Daedalus or the MKB first, but not only affecting the Medusa's item build, but then just getting the Daedalus pretty much just as fast. He's starting to become that monster where you need to jump him, but even if you jump him, I feel like at this point, the Clockwork probably just dies, probably just gets caught in the cogs with the Lina, the monster, and then gets taken out himself. And the rest of the lineup isn't really catching up nearly as quickly. It's where Mini, he's been able to farm. He's got a Swift Blink, but you look at Guts as your secondary core and just doesn't feel like it right now.
He's got some utility here with the AC, but damage-wise, it's going to be kind of lacking as NoRunes start rotating their way top. Not really in time to catch anyone, unless Dodd just keeps on charging forward, but he will not. That was a basher for Heiko, though, so, well, yeah, why not? Try a little Shredder basher play. I don't really know if that's a great idea or not, but Heiko feeling like that might just be the play for him. And if he does get the bash, on a 10% chance, he's going to be feeling pretty fantastic. Might just be enough to make the difference in the fight, but we'll see how active he gets in those engagements with that itemization. As NoRunes, you feel like they're looking to push forward. They're looking for a fight. They're just not willing to charge headfirst into one. They're kind of hoping to creep up on their opponents here. The problem is trying to creep up on someone who has Hawk Vision, so they do have to smoke for it.
Oh,
this could be it. Dodd's in trouble. He's going to pop the BKB, though. They do actually get a bash down, but they don't have the damage. Sarem's already dead. Kunk is in trouble. Guts is dropping low, but Stone Gaze, going to help keep him alive. That buys time to pop his BKB as the fight does break out. They're going to try and turn this around looking for Dismar, but even if they get that, they've got to deal with the cores right now, and they're not doing a great job of it. Meanwhile, Mini has been isolated from his team. Only the Mortimer Kiss is in to help him, and that's not nearly enough.
Oh, it's just taken so far away from that outpost. Even though they're on the dire side of the map, that tier 1 still being alive just means the response is faster. And so important for Dodd to get that early kill onto Sarem. Without that, then he probably just gets rooted immediately after his BKB. It's why he preemptively cast it. But, well, that's your perfect fight to lead into high ground. And Sarem, he might look for that creep cut, but that's also where Dodd, Invis, is hunting on the wave. He's looking for Sarem's play here. When Nengo Flow rushes to the building, tier 3 is getting living armored, but it's going to go down. And now Sarem.
Can't afford to die. He bought back. He is dancing. Jesus, loses nearly half of his health to that tree grab. And all the while, the tower is still going to get hit. Yengo Flow does get pulled back by the tidal wave. That's a nifty play from Guts, but there's no one to follow it up, so... Well, the tower goes down. The Rax is under attack. Yengo Flow's getting healed up by the Soul Rip, but now Dodd's in there. There's going to be the toss back. They blow up Guts immediately. He's dead for 69. No buyback available. That's a full lane of Rax. Do they swing for 2? They honestly could afford to. Medusa's back up now, but you can't send him in alone, and no one else is really in a position to actually be Mini's backup in this fight if it comes down to it.
No, and even though Nengoflo's got to put him out, okay, hook shot.
Mini does jump in with a Swift Blink, so he is doing a little bit of damage. They got through the Aegis. Are they set up to get him again, though? That's going to be kind of iffy. He was holding his BKB for this exact circumstance. He is going to activate it, gets himself out. Sarem, though, that's... In theory, I understand that, but if the Medusa's not actually coming forward to help, then that overgrowth is really ineffective, and now he's on dieback. He is completely and totally out of this fight. They know that on the Raven's side, so they're going to push their way forward. They get the punch onto the Medusa. There's the LSA to follow it up. Defensive Cookie's going to help, but the snowball still connects. The roar comes in, too. And Mini's gone, and that's it. GG called. NoRunes will concede defeat, and Ravens will reclaim top spot as they lock down that #1 seed.
Oh, and, well, haven't lost a series yet, so they won't lose the series coming into playoffs, but Ravens definitely feel like they're gunning for the 2-0 here. But yeah, again, just Nengo Flow Lina. Well, it hasn't been the theme of the tournament until their last 4 games here, but whenever he picks it up, it's just starting to work for them. And of course, it felt a little bit weird, felt different going for this Dodd Tiny, but it ends up panning out. All they needed was another frontliner. They get a big beefy boy who's able to tank up for him, and sure, maybe a bump in the road when they go for that first initial high ground push, but then Roshan just keeps cooperating for Ravens and forces NoRunes into these awful situations where they're so close to contesting, and then it just falls through their hands, and then they gotta run, and then they just never get an Aegis. They never even get to look at the pit. It's just, again, though, Ravens' decision-making just being razor tight. They just always find that correct decision, even though it looks like it's going to be close. It's a nail biter. It's 10, 15 seconds away from being contestable, but then it's not, and they get the advantage.
Well, does position 1 Tiny work? Yeah, no, I mean,
You got Nengo
yes
Flow
and
Lina.
no. Yeah, if you have a Lina who's just going to ball out and do 30,000 damage, sure, yeah, it works just fine, but as the primary damage dealer itself, not really. But Dodd didn't need to be, as you say. He sets the table, and he and Benjaz honestly do a lot of work. 7-3 and 11 on that Beastmaster. The roars were perfectly on point to just bully Mini every time they decided to just collapse on top of her, and that's the way that you have to play up against the Medusa, and Mini really just could not carry the team by himself.
And it's one of those drafts where, sure, the Medusa's great, but you have to make that decision. Are we killing the Medusa first? Or are we killing everybody else before? And really, aside from, I want to say, Guts, everybody else was just going in to try and make space for Mini, but it's just not clean enough, just not easy enough to play. And they did pick the Medusa into the Lina in the first place, so they were kind of asking for this type of situation to play out. But that's where we'll have to see now. Come game 2, NoRunes have last pick, so we'll see if maybe they get some of those counter picks rolling for them, but hopefully it's a little bit closer of a game.
We shall see if they can close out this group stage run with, some sort of salvaged play here with the 1-1 split, or if it's just going to be Ravens waltzing their way to the 2-0. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes here for the start of the Game 2 draft and our final group stage matchup. So stick around and we'll be back in a bit.